A very good morning to all. I'm your host Deepti Diwan, and with great delight, I welcome you to track 2 of Dell Technologies presents the Economic Times Cloud Innovation Summit 2021, co-powered by Amazon Internet Services. At the outset, let me extend a big thank you to our partners. Presenting partner Dell Technologies, co-powered by partner Amazon Internet Services. Our cybersecurity partner, Cloudflare. Gold partners, Hitachi Vantara, Commvault, Software One, and VMware. Our silver partners, Snowflake, Redington India, and IBM partner. Our associate partner, Samsung Data Systems, Lenovo, and Intel. And our media partners, Silicon India, CIO Review India. Thank you so much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Steve Jobs once said, I don't need a hard disk in my computer if I can get to the server faster. Carrying around these non connected computers is Byzantine by comparison. And indeed, he was so right. Cloud computing has proven to be a turnkey solution for businesses, and cloud is already driving significant transformation in every industry, sector, and domain, and will be continuing to be the talk of the town for years to come. Cloud computing is widely recognized as a critical component of businesses. Hybrid, multi cloud, and edge environments are growing and setting the stage for new distributed cloud models. Introduction of 5G, mobile banking, transformation in healthcare will further push adoption of cloud across businesses. As a result, global cloud adoption will continue to expand rapidly. Gartner forecasts end user spending on public cloud services to reach $396 billion in 2021 and grow 21.7% to reach $482 billion in 2022. Additionally, by 2026, Gartner predicts public cloud spending will exceed 45% of all enterprise IT spending, up from less than 17% in 2021. However, cloud adoption and investments aren't really keeping pace with the innovation goals. And through this summit, we aim to put the spotlight on the success stories and deep dive into how businesses across the country are effectively planning this critical change. Experts from the globe, implementers of technology from various segments of Indian businesses, regulators, and policymakers, influencers, and associations have joined us to share their knowledge and stories and help each other in building the blocks right. So, yes, look forward to a lot of valuable information today through these success stories. And while you do so, also take a look at the various features of the virtual portal. On this virtual platform, we have a lot of interactive features for you. We have for you the networking lounge where you can interact with like minded people, the signature wall where you can write comments about the summit and about the sessions. Do visit the resource center where we have the booths for you and you can download brochures and gather lots of information. At the experience zone, you can visit our partner booth and set up one on one meetings. And here's something very exciting for you: leaderboard point system, through which you have some exciting gifts to be won. So do visit the leaderboard where you can collect points and win amazing gifts and lots of gift vouchers. We have the feedback form for you. Of course, your feedback is very, very valuable to us. So please take out the time to fill up the feedback form. And yes, when you wish to take a break, we have an exciting game for you. So do indulge in some fun gaming while you take a break. And don't forget to download your digital certificates of participation. And ladies and gentlemen, do share your comments, views, and tweets on social media using the hashtag ETCloudSummit. We would love to hear from you. With that, gear up for our success stories presented by experts coming up in just a few minutes. start this track of the Economic Times Cloud Innovation Summit, we present to you the Cloud Success Story by Sanjay Mohan, CTO, Make My Trip. Sanjay is happy to be sharing how Make My Trip has adopted cloud and what their journey has been like. And to moderate this discussion, we have with us Pawan Kumar S., Leader Technology Consulting, PwC. So with that, I hand over to you, sir.
Good morning, everyone. This is Pawan. I am Technology Consulting Leader for PwC in India. Um, the topic that we are discussing today is on digital and cloud. And as you know, digital is real, right? Digital transformation, digital acceleration that's happening in the world. And given the COVID and the pandemic, I think it has just got accelerated to a different level. One of the key enablers of digital is cloud. Cloud transformation and cloud leverage is something that everybody has used to become more digital in nature. So businesses have used it. Uh, and both the new age companies, the traditional companies have started using cloud as a lever for becoming more digital. One such organization which has really used cloud to make their digital journey faster and better is Make My Trip. And I have the pleasure of having Sanjay Mohan, who is the Group
Hi.
Technology Officer at Make My Trip with us. In this role, Sanjay is responsible for developing and executing global technology strategy and planning ongoing technology innovations for the company's continued success. With an overall 25 plus years of experience, Sanjay brings along significant expertise in product and platform engineering, including architecture, user experience, site operations, product management, and product strategy. His previous stints have been in great organizations like Yahoo, IBM, Sun, Oracle, and Netscape. Sanjay has masters in computer science from University of Louisiana and has completed his bachelor's degree in engineering from BIT Mesra. Welcome to you, Sanjay. Great having you with us talking
Hi,
about this
hi,
subject.
Pawan. Yeah, great to be here. Thanks for having me
Fantastic.
here. Yeah.
Fantastic. So Sanjay, as I was saying, digital is here, digital is real, and cloud is an enabler that we have seen to leverage for digital transformation and digital acceleration that the organizations are doing. And when we were speaking, you were talking about how Make My Trip has used cloud for moving their journey forward in this space, right? So why don't you take a couple of minutes and talk to us on what have you done with Make My Trip on the cloud journey? What has been the experience? Maybe just in 2 to 3 minutes of highlights on what's the journey like.
Right. So yeah, no, good start to the session. Yeah. So let me just quickly walk you through the journey that we've had. So till 2017, actually almost towards the end of 2017, and till that point of time, we had our own data centers, and two data centers actually, one in Mumbai, one in Chennai, co-located in a standard larger data center. So, and that is how we operated till 2017. Also, if you look at the overall cloud offerings in India, especially given the data residency rules and all, I mean, we didn't have much of options of cloud some 6-7 years ago. I don't think there was any offering either. So I'll take you through two of the things. I mean, the first thing is, why did we decide to move to the cloud? The challenges that we were having on the data center. So that is the first part that I'll talk about. The second part that I want to talk about is how we did it, the migration part and all. So first on the why part, I mean, why cloud at all? I mean, because data centers were there, several companies are still operating out of data centers. And so I just want to give my perspective. It could be right, could be wrong. I mean, perspectives are perspectives after all. So, so see, we are a pure e-commerce company. We are the largest online travel aggregator in India. Almost all of our business is online. We are not in the business. We are in the business of travel and travel products and travel services, and making it easy for Indian consumers to buy travel products from us. So that is what we do. That is who we are. We are not in the business of data center management. That is not our core competency.
Yeah.
And that is something that was clear to us from the very beginning. But then I'll take you through. I mean, first of all, there was no cloud offering. Cloud availability in India, cloud services were not there. Till almost 7-8 years ago, there was nothing in the scene at all. So after that, only the larger multinationals have come into India. So everyone was doing data centers. That was the state of the art. We were also doing data centers, which was the state of the art. Over the last 5-6 years, if you've seen, the e-commerce landscape in India has changed. There are much more is happening online in India now, much more e-commerce, much more mobile commerce. So a lot of shoppers, more visitors, more transactions, which means that if you're playing the data center game, you have to keep investing in that also. So you have to keep on buying hardware. And obviously that is CapEx. So you have to go through your internal approval process and the due diligence. But more importantly, what happens is that when you're buying hardware on a periodic basis, almost on an annual basis, you end up with an asymmetric set in your data centers. So obviously some hardware is 5 years old, some is 3 years old, some is brand new. Managing that asymmetric bunch of hardware is hard. I mean, it's a nightmare, actually, to tell you honestly, it's a nightmare. So that started happening to us as the e-commerce market also grew in India. So more and more hardware was being procured and more asymmetry was there in our data centers. That was a nightmare to manage. And as I said, that is not our core competency. Our core competency is travel. So that was one part. Procurement was a challenge. Managing disparate and asymmetric hardware was a challenge.
And I'm sure the refresh of those is also another challenge, right? Every
quite a pain. The refresh of all of those, plus the software upgrades and the patch upgrades on asymmetric hardware, that itself that's a different nightmare altogether. So net, I mean, this whole data center thing, to me, it started looking like a quicksand. The more you want to get out of it, the more you get sucked into it, because you have to keep buying because the business is growing. I mean, that part you can't complain about. But again, on the data center side, you keep investing into hardware, which you know is going to depreciate, and asymmetry and all of that. So that was one part. The second part of the problem was this on-demand scaling. Because a lot of flash sales, I mean, if you look at airlines also, airlines and hotel chains, they've been doing a lot of flash sales every so often, very frequently actually. When those flash sales happen from our suppliers, you have to scale up the hardware, right? I mean, there are peaks, and it happens on a very short notice. So you need on-demand scaling of hardware. Same thing for the hotel supply. And then our business is seasonal, obviously. During Dashara, Diwali, people will travel more. Long weekends, Holi, Christmas, people will travel more. So that is what happens. So it's a seasonal. So during those seasons, you have to scale up the hardware, which means that you end up over provisioning your hardware all the time, because you don't know what the peak will be. If you don't know what the peak will be, then you have to provision at the maximum capacity that you could potentially have to serve. And therefore, a lot of inefficiency happens in the data centers. I mean, you know that most of your hardware is going unused during normal times. So that was another pain point. So these were the two major reasons why we decided to move away from the data center. And towards the end of 2017, and I'll talk about the third reason also somewhere down in this conversation. I'll touch upon the pace of experimentation and the data science and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But let me come to the how part first, how we migrated. So towards the end of 2017, we decided to move completely to a cloud provider. And the mechanism and the process that we thought would fit us was one line of business at a time. So we have different lines of businesses in the company, flights, for instance, and flights and hotels and holidays and ground transportation. All of these are lines of businesses for us. So for instance, we decided that we'll move all of flights business or hotels business or ground business, one chunk on the cloud first, because that is how the business is. And there's a comfort factor that, yeah, you start with one line of business, you don't bring the entire, I mean, if something goes wrong, you don't bring the entire business down. So it's easier. I mean, there's more comfort in experimenting in a modular fashion. So that is what we did. And then when we decided to move one line of business, it was lock, stock and barrel. It was complete lift and shift. And we also debated a lot whether we should optimize first and then migrate to the cloud. And I'll probably touch upon the cost factor later on. But there were some considerations of those kinds also, that let's optimize first and then move. But we decided, no, let's move first and then optimize. And I'll come to the rationale for that also. somewhere in our conversation today. So that is how we did it. It took us end to end. It took us 3 months, 3 to 4 months maximum. We got a lot of help from our cloud provider as well. I mean, they were hand holding us at each and every stage while we were doing the migration. So in 3 months, I think in 1 quarter, we migrated the entire business to the cloud.
Wow.
One of the data centers, actually long ago, we decided that we will let the hardware depreciate. And all our new investment was in just one of the data centers. So we had two in Mumbai and Chennai. We decided that most of the new hardware will be in one data center, because you don't want to throw away all the hardware also. I mean, there's some cost in it.
No, fantastic story, Sanjay. So one of the early adopters of cloud, you looked at it from a lens of saying you need to keep doing purchase of hardware continuously. Is that the right model, or you should move to a different model? And you looked at an on-demand scaling issues as well. So that's from the technology perspective. From an infrastructure perspective, was a clear driver as you articulated.
Right.
I'm sure it is not just that. I'm sure you also created business benefits out of moving to cloud, right? So
Absolutely.
Maybe that's something that you can touch upon, Sanjay, on saying, in addition to the technology and financial capability of moving from capex to opex and having the capability of on-demand scaling, what did the business benefits that you could actually give to your business partners in the organization through moving through the cloud?
No, that's it's good segue to talk about the pace of experimentation. I touched upon it in the last section as well. The pace of experimentation, I mean, see, over the last 10 years, if you look at the overall, the technology landscape, there are two areas that have received the maximum investment and the maximum innovation, which is the cloud and data.
Yeah.
Most of the innovation, most of the new stuff, new exciting magical stuff is happening either on the cloud front or in the data science, AI, ML front. You don't want to be left behind as a technology company. You don't want to be left behind on either of these fronts. So you have to keep pace with technology. You have to play these two games, right? The cloud and the data part.
Yeah.
Exactly that thing happened to us also. So most of the new features that we have been offering over the last 5 years, they have been utilizing a lot of data that we've collected over the last several years. We have a lot of travel data for India, at least we do.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to utilize all the data that we have, the new features are always looking at the data. We do a lot of data science, data engineering, and then the newer features that we are offering to our customers are all AI ML driven. So if you look at the hotel ranking, for instance, I mean, every customer will see a new sequence of hotels when you log into the app. Then we have, on the flights front, we have fare log feature, which again depends on a lot of data that we collect on flights and the variability in prices of those flights. On the ground transportation, we have the same ticket confirmation and all. So we are doing a lot of data science experiments, and this we've been doing over the last 5 years. Now, when you run a data science experiment, and that is what I'm calling about the pace of experimentation. The nature of data science experiments is that you do model testing. You have a data science model, you test it, and then you tweak the parameters, you fine tune it, and then you run the experiment again, tweak it again. And it takes a long time just to tweak an experiment, a model, to test a model. And then once you're happy with the outcome, once you're happy with the reliability of the model, then you go ahead and put it in production. Now, this whole cycle of experimentation on the data science part means you need hardware in bursts. You run the model, shut down the experiment, then you analyze the results, then again you run the model. So when you're running all these experiments, the nature of the data science experiments is that you have to spin up the servers and then spin it down, ramp it down, right? It's ideal to do that on a cloud where you have hardware available on demand. You can't do it in a data center because you can't run as many experiments. You're always limited by the hardware that you have in your data centers. So that pace of experiment, that is the biggest benefit of the business, that our pace of experimentation has gone up, because every data scientist now, they can spin up their model testing and then spin it down. And at the end of it, we just put it in production. So hardware on demand is a beautiful thing to have there. So those are
fantastic. So it's a real story of how cloud has become the real sandbox, if you will, right, to experiment and bring it into
Absolutely.
production, into mainstream. Yeah. So one of the things we always hear when we talk about cloud, Sanjay, is
Yeah.
about security, right? Security from multiple aspects, right? One from saying, and in your kind of business, in an e-commerce business, there are so many rogue bots out there, right? How do you manage that? How do you ensure security of your digital assets within the organization, given it's on the cloud, right? So the security becomes a key conversation for a lot of organization when they talk about cloud. So how did you and MMT deal with it? Is that something that you can throw light on,
Yeah.
Sanjay?
Yeah. So I can walk you through what we did. I mean, and probably that can help people in the audience also. I mean, if people are trying to implement a strategy which is similar to what we have done, I think it's working well for us right now. So we have a multi-layered defense strategy. Multi-layered in the sense that every layer of the network, all the way from the edge to the innermost core of the applications and the storage, we have several layers in between which are safeguarding the next layer. So you can imagine it as a set of concentric circles where your application, the core application and the data are at the very center of that concentric circle, at the center of the core, center of the circle. And then you have all these layers of circles outside. And the first layer obviously sits outside of the cloud. And there you have the DDoS for denial of services. So all of that you can check even before it hits your cloud servers. So starting from that layer, then you have all kinds of application layer, threat prevention. You have all of that. So that we have. And then you have malware. There are all kinds of malware and ransomware for which you need. We actually deal with third-party experts, again, because that is not our core expertise, right? I mean, we don't want to build everything ourselves, and no one actually does it actually. So no one does that. So we rely on the best-in-breed third-party software tools and services to help us on the DDoS, to help us on the malware, the ransomware. So that is one part of it. And then as you come inside the concentric circles, you have access control list, people who can access that layer. It's a very controlled access that we give to people. The data at the very center of it also is anonymized, honestly. So for all the customers, the customer data is not even available to our engineers. So they just look at an opaque ID for a customer, and that is all we have. So at one layer, you have on the outside layer, you just have these bad elements coming into the network, which to a great extent we suppress it through third-party tools. Whatever escapes the third-party tools and the services, for that we use our own anomaly detection, which is again AI ML based. We know the patterns of access that we have on our services. So based on any anomaly that we see, we have a SOC and a NOC, obviously security operations and network operations. They are 24/7. They are monitoring parameters and alerts and the patterns of accesses. And these systems actually flag off that this doesn't look like a regular routine customer. So please stop it and please check it out. So we have our own anomaly detection system that helps us identify the bad bots, even the bots that escape the outer layers, the third-party tools, because I mean, for every domain, I think it's a different pattern of access. For travel, there's a different pattern of access that the bots have. Bots are also getting smarter every day, obviously. I mean, we know about that. We know about all the cyber security threats that all of us are under. I mean, it keeps us awake at night, definitely. But you have to just be on your toes and keep doing all the right things. So third party helps us mitigate a bunch of it, a lot of it. And whatever remains, we are building our own AI ML driven pattern recognition and pattern anomaly detection kind of systems to thwart the bots. We also have some good bots, by the way, coming into the system. So these are our partners and affiliates. So that you white label at the very outermost layers. So we allow them to come in.
Fantastic. No, great. So we talked about the financial benefits, the technical benefits, the infrastructure benefits, the business benefits, and how security as a challenge is taken care of. Maybe to summarize, Sanjay, if you could probably take a minute and say, what are the best practices that you have found in your journey? If anybody in the audience is thinking about going on a cloud journey, what could that be? And maybe you can also wrap in and say, if you were to redo it, how would have you done it differently, right? So maybe both of this I can combine, and
Right,
you can
right. So
comment
I'll,
on.
yeah, probably a minute on that one, if it helps. I can tell you about my experience at least. So we did this, I told you we did the lift and shift model. We
Yeah,
tried to migrate to the cloud first and optimize later. And I think in hindsight, I think that was the right decision. And for people in the audience who are again thinking of migrating from your data center to the cloud, I would also strongly advocate that you take the same approach, because a lot of optimization that we do on a typical e-commerce stack, that is tied to your deployment architecture also.
yeah,
The configuration of the compute and the storage and the bandwidth, to a great extent, that also dictates how you do your core software architecture. So there's no point optimizing in-house first, because the moment you migrate it to the cloud, the underlying parameters of the deployment infra is different. The way you configure your services and the way you distribute your services will be different. So no, it doesn't make any sense, frankly, to optimize first and migrate later. So I think if I had to redo it, I will do probably exactly the same way: migrate
fantastic.
first and then optimize later. So that is one part. Again, on the cost front, again, while it's cloud is a very good thing for the CTO, the CFO has concerns because the cost is typically higher than all said. I mean, you can hear all kinds of promises, but from a practitioner's perspective, I can tell you the cost on the cloud will be higher than what we have in the data center. But then there are so many business advantages of doing it that the additional cost in dollars actually is offset by the advantages and the benefits that you get on the other side. Yeah.
No, this has been a fantastic articulation of what you have done, Sanjay, and thanks for that. Just for audience sake, if I could summarize, it's what Sanjay said is they didn't migrate and optimize first, and that probably is the right strategy, given you can start getting the benefits from day one because you're migrated to the cloud from data center. Look at all capabilities that the cloud can provide to increase your innovation, right? Or speed of innovation that you talked about, Sanjay. Fantastic in terms of data science, AML, and others. But also look at challenges like security at the same time. You need to look at both the lens, the business benefit, but the challenges that could come in and how to tackle that, right? So very comprehensive in that sense. And thanks a lot, Sanjay, for shedding light on your journey and how we have taken it forward.
Thanks,
Thanks
Pawan.
everyone for joining this session. Have a good day.
Thanks, Pawan. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, take care. Bye.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mohan, for sharing that wonderful success story with us. And thank you so much, Mr. Pawan Kumar S. Dear delegates, coming up is yet another success story in just a few minutes from now. I'll see you there.